Happy New Year! SpaceX is rapidly getting the first version 3 Starship ready. Starbase is still getting ready for Flight 12. How long until we see it fly? What happened to Ship 39? Is there a problem? Booster 19 is ready for testing, Raptor engines are being thrown away, we predict Starship milestones for 2026. And everyone is getting ready for the moon. Artemis II, Blue Origin and a small army of landers, all in 2026. Let's go! My name is Felix, welcome to What About It. Let's dive right in. Starship updates. And just like that, it's 2026. What a year in review and what an outlook for this next one. 2026 will be a crucial year for the spaceflight industry, and today we'll take a detailed look at what happened during our hiatus and what's to come. And as always, we're starting it off with a lot of this. Starbase, Texas. Did you miss it? I sure did, and even though it was the holiday season, SpaceX didn't stop working for long. I mean, look at this time-lapse. This is SpaceX's New Year celebration fireworks display, and in the foreground, they are digging right through the celebration. I hope that those excavator operators at least had the time to enjoy some of it. And what are they digging for? The future. They are in the process of updating Pad 1, and there's one problem in front of them. A massive steel-reinforced pile cap that was sitting right below the famous deluge plate under the XOLM. Some predicted in the comments that it would take them months to remove this. Those predictions are understandable. After all, it's hundreds, maybe even thousands of tons of special concrete and lots of steel rebar. Tough to remove. The reason I said it would take weeks rather than months is precisely this behavior. And it can be seen from the air as well. SpaceX doesn't wait. They make every minute count, and so they should already be largely done with this underlying pile cap at this point. The rest of the excavation work should now focus on preparing the new flame trench. Besides the highly anticipated version 3 Starship generation, this is the most important development for 2026. I'll get to the reason later in the video. None of SpaceX's plans for 2026 will work without an upgraded Pad 1. And speaking of version 3, take a look at this. It might have been the most anticipated rollout of December, and then it wasn't a ship or a booster. It was this thing. And what exactly is this thing? It's an adapter for B18.3, SpaceX's version 3 booster hot stage test article. Also known as Test Tank 19, B18.3 is a Block 3 booster test tank designed to verify the structural integrity of the new integrated hot staging ring design, one of the largest visible changes on the version 3 booster. It has been at the Massey's test site since September of last year, undergoing 7 cryogenic proof tests since then. And now it is time for the next step. After verifying the structural integrity of the tanks, they are now using this newly produced adapter to test the strengths of the hot stage trusses connecting booster and ship during flight. With this adapter on top, they can now squeeze the trusses to make sure they can actually withstand the forces of 33 Raptor 3 engines. So we can expect some nice test activity in the next few days. Speaking of Raptor engines, take a look at this. These are perfectly fine Raptor 2 engines spotted at SpaceX's McGregor engine test facility in the last few days. And they were spotted in droves. And the reason for this is rather fascinating. Even though they are perfectly fine engines and many of them haven't even seen a flight, they are now going to the scrapyard. Wait, what? Why? With version 3 Starships, Raptor 2 will be obsolete, and 3 will take over. These engines aren't needed anymore, even though they could never prove their worth. And at least dozens of engines are just filed as a learning experience for the Hawthorne team responsible for building them. This isn't wasted money or time either, since everything about the Starship program is laser-focused on mass production as the end goal. The best way to design a mass-producible rocket engine is to mass-produce it, and identify problems along the way. It is an excellent example of SpaceX's approach, hardware-rich development, so rich that much of it is produced solely to be discarded later. Jumping back to Starbase, here are some nice shots of Ship 39 inside Megabay 2. You know, one of my all-time favorite books is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So here's a quote. It's got a lot of useful stuff in it, and in large friendly letters on the cover it says, "Don't panic." Let's keep that cover in mind when looking at the scaffolding currently surrounding Ship 39. These images created quite the buzz on our team and in the community when we released the supporter gallery to our channel members and patrons. Was SpaceX removing the heat shield from Ship 39? What was wrong? Would this mean that Flight 12 was delayed? Remember the book cover, my friends. While all this could be true, I'd like to remind you of this. That's Ship 39 before the scaffolding was erected, and it's the best damn heat shield I've ever seen at Starbase. It looks pristine, extremely polished. If I could get close, I'd hug it. Nothing is confirmed yet, but if I had to guess, this is either to replace a few tiles or to switch them out for test tiles again. I'd be very surprised if this delayed Flight 12. It's an excellent example, though, of how much work goes into this project. And SpaceX still has time. Remember this thing from the last episode? I speculated that it is currently being built at the Massey ship static fire stand to possibly test the docking/fuel ports on the new version 3 Starships. And as you can see here, it is not done yet. SpaceX could not roll the ship to Massey's even if they wanted to. It would just sit out there unprotected, possibly for weeks. So they still have time left to work on Ship 39, and that's all this means. As a side note, S39.1, the test article to verify version 3 ship tank structures, is officially done with testing for now. As can be seen in Raptor Space's cameras, it was rolled back to the production site on December 23rd and moved straight into the staff factory, very likely for inspections. And here's another development at Massey's and a direct result of Ship 36's explosion and possibly also Booster 18's rupture back in August and November. It's a COPV tester. SpaceX has finally reworked its safety and handling procedures with COPVs. On December 24th, as if it were a giant Christmas present for all of us Starship fans, Elon Musk posted this image. It shows Booster 19 inside Megabay 1. Finished. Its stacking started on November 25th, only 4 days after the Booster 18 rupture. And it finished its stacking on December 24th. Less than a month. That is absolutely stunning. But this image holds another very important clue that many overlooked. In the lower part of the image, almost out of view, you can see a COPV attached to the side of the booster. Or more precisely, you can't see it. What you can see is a bright red cover. And that is a new thing. Before Booster 18's anomaly, these COPVs didn't have a cover during ground handling. These COPV covers and the newly built COPV tester at Massey's test site are two very important signals that SpaceX has identified the COPV failures on Ship 36 and possibly on Booster 18 as ground handling problems. And to show some typical SpaceX behavior, they've also already implemented testing. As can be seen on Raptor Space's cameras, some of these red jacket COPVs were already loaded onto a trailer at the production site on December 29th. On the 30th, they were tested at Massey's in the new COPV tester, and on the 31st, they were rolled back to production, hopefully with excellent test results. So these scenes are hopefully now a thing of the past. Safety and security are not just crucial at Starbase. So there is one thing I can definitely go without: being stressed by a seemingly endless flood of spam emails and phone calls. The problem is real, and it is growing.
It's not a tumor.
But I am happy to say that since I have started relying on my sponsor Incogni over 3 years ago, this constant nuisance stopped. You guys rock. Gone are the days when ruthless data brokers made a living out of selling my personal data. It's highly likely that you are looking for better data protection, like half of all Americans. And I got good news. Incogni can do for you what it did for me. Let Incogni be your reliable partner for data privacy needs, keeping personal data safe and secure. Getting started is pleasingly simple. Sign up and grant Incogni permission to track down the data brokers. That's it. Incogni is now effortlessly running in the background automatically, ensuring personal data truly remains personal. Not only does it identify targets reliably, it can even handle removal requests for you. Join me at incogni.com/Felix and take control of your personal data with Incogni. Use code Felix at the link below to get 60% off an annual plan. I love this special offer because it really makes a difference. Alright, all safe and secured, back to Starbase. What's also mandatorily needed for Flight 12 is the new generation of pads. No new pad equals no new flight. And there was a lot of progress during the holiday season, of course there was. SpaceX conducted an extensive tank farm test on December 28th. Both the methane and the oxygen farms spooled up, and testing lasted for hours without visible problems. A day earlier, on the 28th, Lab Padres cams were laser focused on this site. It's the still missing ship quick disconnect extender for pad Pad 2, the part that actually connects to the ship upper stage during fueling operations. And what you can see here are flex hoses being installed, the lines responsible for fuel transfer. This is likely one of the last steps before it can be attached to the Mechazilla at Pad 2, and here's another critical development. Remember this post from Kiko Donchev, Vice President of Launch at SpaceX? He announced that SpaceX would manufacture Starships at Starbase and then send them to Florida for launches in a horizontal position on a barge. Likely just because Florida's Starship production capabilities won't be ready before Pad 39A is. So they'll manufacture ships at Starbase and send them to Florida. Makes sense. Now take a look at this. SpaceX sent a barge to Kennedy Space Center with a large tank on top. NASA Spaceflight filmed the arrival on December 29th. And Kiko was there again to help confirm a few things. This was a test run. They're not ready to reveal the name yet, but this is the barge that will be used to transport Super Heavy boosters and Starships over to the Cape. And I sure can't wait for that to happen. It's a huge step towards SpaceX's Artemis involvement, and it is so close to where I live, I can almost smell the barge from my house. Florida, get ready for some Starship action. With all of these steps accomplished in just 2 weeks since our last episode, SpaceX is well on track for its Flight 12 Q1 launch window. What's your estimate? When will SpaceX start rolling Booster 19 and Ship 39 out for testing, and which stage will be first? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to help us make even better content and fly more often in a helicopter, hit the subscribe button to stay informed. Like this video if it brought you value and become a WAI supporter for those extra heli flights. Be off fuel, chat with me, and gain more insights into the topic you love. Thank you very much. Now let's do some fun predictions for 2026. What needs to happen in 2026 and when will it happen? First of all, we have Flight 12, the first version 3 Starship that we are all waiting for right now. Everything is going according to plan, and a launch can be expected toward the end of this month, maybe at the beginning of February. Next up, we have a ship catch. According to SpaceX, they want to see 2 good flights of a Starship generation before they can attempt a catch. As of now, that would be Flight 14 at the earliest. Expect that to happen sometime in June or July. Then we have orbital refueling. This is crucial for NASA's Artemis II, and the goal is to test it in 2026. I presume SpaceX has similar milestone requirements for this as they do for the ship catch. Let's speculate and say that they want to see 2 good ship catches before doing a fuel transfer. If the first one happens in July, the second one could happen in September, which would make Flight 16 the first possible opportunity to test out orbital refueling. November 2026 if nothing unforeseen happens. You can already see how tight this timeline is. We all know that problems are to be expected. Fingers crossed. Then we have HLS, the elusive lunar Starship. SpaceX is right now actively building it, no doubt. Especially with Jared Isaacman now being the head of NASA, this becomes an even more important topic for SpaceX. So when will we see the first real prototype? It's a tricky question to answer. One thing is for sure. It would give SpaceX huge credibility if they could show something. Negative comments about this are primarily based on the fact that besides very few images of lifts, cockpit monitors, and airlocks, there is no substantial public information. I personally expect at least a full-size mock-up sometime mid-2026. For training, ground operations, and for the public to see that there is at least some hardware. When do you think we'll see this first test article in public? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If SpaceX achieves all this in 2026, they are on track for orbital HLS tests in 2027 and maybe even a flight to the moon that same year. That's just SpaceX. 2026 will offer much more than this. Let's see what other milestones we can expect for this year. Quick reminder, if you want to see how SpaceX is doing from the air with your own eyes, go to redlineheli.com/Felix. $25 off for anyone using the link. The Redline Helicopter team is waiting for you. They'll show you the same Starbase views our photographer gets on his Starbase flights. Unforgettable stuff. Now, what else is going to happen in 2026? Let's concentrate on our celestial neighbor for this episode. The moon is the target for multiple missions, and the most exciting one is not even a landing. If all goes well, we are just weeks away from Artemis II. This historic mission marks the first time since 1972 that humans have ventured beyond Earth's orbit. Calling this mission epic is almost an understatement. During the 10-day mission, the crew in their Orion capsule will cover a distance of well over 1 million kilometers. Artemis II will carry 4 astronauts farther from Earth than any human has ever traveled, some 6,400 kilometers beyond the moon's far side. The crew itself represents 3 firsts in spaceflight. Pilot Victor Glover becomes the first person of color to travel to the moon. Mission specialist Christina Koch will be the first woman on a lunar mission, and Canadian Jeremy Hansen will be the first non-American to make the journey. And last but not least, what's so special about Reed Wiseman? Well, he is the mission commander. The crew and their spacecraft, named Integrity, completed a full countdown demonstration test on December 20th, 2025, with the crew suited up and ready. This was the final major rehearsal before the next milestone. And that's a good one, the rollout of the Space Launch System from NASA's giant VAB. Prepare for some epic images and a full wet dress rehearsal. There will be no landing this time, but the mission's objective is to validate everything NASA needs for the actual lunar landing of Artemis II. It's an important step to take before setting foot on the moon again. The crew will test life support systems, practice manual piloting, conduct experiments measuring radiation effects on human biology, and photograph the moon's far side. Did you already get your ticket? We sure did. NASA has set the launch date for no later than April 2026, but the mission could actually take off as early as February. While NASA's Artemis II loops around the moon, Blue Origin plans to land on it. And Blue's plan is a big one. The company's Blue Moon Mark I lander is the largest commercial lunar cargo lander ever built. The uncrewed mission targets the first quarter of 2026 for a robotic mission to Shackleton Crater near the moon's south pole. This is not some random landing site, nor even an easy-to-reach one. There is strong evidence suggesting the presence of water ice inside Shackleton Crater. On the moon, water is a highly valuable resource that could sustain future lunar bases or be processed into rocket fuel. The crater's permanently shadowed interior keeps a temperature close to -183°C, acting as a giant deep freezer. So no ice can evaporate. Its rim, by contrast, receives almost continuous sunlight, offering reliable solar power. And a lot of power is needed to split this water into oxygen and hydrogen on an industrial scale to form a basis for a permanent settlement. The primary payload is NASA's SCALPS camera system, designed to capture how the lander's BE-7 engine disturbs the lunar surface during descent. This data directly supports planning for future crewed Artemis landings, where understanding plume effects could mean the difference between a safe touchdown and a disaster. But Blue Origin's ambitions extend far beyond this robotic mission. Mark I validates technologies for the much larger Mark II crewed lander that Blue Origin is building under a $3.4 billion NASA contract for Artemis V. Every system tested on Mark I, the engine, cryogenic propellant management, and precision landing paved the way for astronauts to descend to the lunar surface later this decade. The upcoming lunar mission, designated NG-3, is a double first for Blue Origin. It's not only their first attempt at a moon landing, but the company also plans to reuse the booster flown on NG-2. A booster reuse on the 3rd overall New Glenn flight. What do you think? Can this work? Fingers crossed for Blue Origin. So that's the 2 big ones, but we're not even half through the list. The second half of the year has its own share of lunar goodness. Intuitive Machines is getting ready to explore one of the moon's most enigmatic features, Rainer Gamma. You know what a lunar swirl is? Yeah? That's a thing. A bright, snaking pattern visible even through backyard telescopes has puzzled scientists for decades. Associated with a localized magnetic field, the swirl appears to act like sunscreen, deflecting solar wind particles and preventing the normal darkening that space weathering causes. And the effect is both visually striking and a magnet for scientific curiosity. Intuitive Machines' IM-3 mission carries specialized scientific instruments to solve solves this mystery. This 10-kilogram rover called MAP will traverse roughly 2 kilometers across the swirl, measuring magnetic fields and analyzing surface composition. It's actually the second MAP to be delivered to the moon by Intuitive Machines. The first one was part of the ill-fated IM-2 mission and is now permanently trapped in its garage. MAP has an exciting future use case. NASA has selected the rover to become the first to operate alongside astronauts on lunar missions. NASA's Guidry experiment deploys a trio of autonomous rovers that work as a team, demonstrating technology for future robotic explorers that can collaborate without constant human guidance. Intuitive Machines learned hard lessons from previous missions. Both IM-1 in 2024 and IM-2 in early 2025 achieved historic landings, but ended up on their sides due to altimeter problems. For IM-3, the company has made several upgrades to improve reliability and calibration. These include incorporating redundant altimeters from 2 different vendors and adding new velocity sensors. Furthermore, the spacecraft will perform 12 lunar orbits before descent, a significant increase from the single orbit flown by IM-1, thereby facilitating extensive instrument calibration. Man, altimeters, right? Third time's a charm, they say. I am looking forward to Intuitive Machines' third attempt, fingers crossed. Welcome back to the WAI Countdown, your rapid-fire look behind the curtain at everything that keeps this channel blasting off. Today I have a big present for you. I am making the brand new flyover gallery public for everyone here on YouTube in the community section and over on Patreon. Normally this is exclusive to patrons and channel members, those who pay for the flights. This time though, it is not. Jordan was up in the air again and the images are amazing. Have fun sifting through and let me know in the comments which was your favorite image. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for being our rocket fuel. We are all in this mission together. And that's it for today. Smash the like button, subscribe for more. This is what fuels the algorithm and this is how you can help us for free. Check out our epic shirts in your favorite Space Nerd store. Our Raptor engine design and countless others are there for you to explore. Click the card or the US or worldwide link in the description. And if you want to know how SpaceX managed to build Raptor 3, the new Starship powerhouse, and what makes it special, watch this video next to continue your journey. Thank you very much for watching and I'll see you again in the next episode.